I first saw today's guest on stage in a pretty bad musical, and she walked on stage, lit up the stage, and I immediately remember looking at my playbill and going, who the hell is that? And the playbill said, one word, Orfeh. And here she is today. Welcome, Orfeh.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love this show.
Oh, thank you very much.
I really do. I'm excited to be here because I watch all the interviews. I wait for them to come out, and I really, really enjoy them. So
wonderful. I appreciate that.
I do.
So now you are actually coming from your very first performance in Love, Loss, and What I Wore off
Straight
Broadway.
off the stage in my full, from here up in my full outfit. So,
yeah. So you have a little bit of a snooky poof.
I had that snooky poof in Oran Moore.
Oh, you've
18 years
had the snooky
ago.
poof since the 90s. Okay.
I think I invented the snooky poof.
So how did your first show go? This is a show I actually don't know that much about. I don't know much about the preparation.
Yes.
It's very fast, the rehearsal period.
I would have to say it was barely a day and a half of full rehearsal.
Wow.
We ran it once last night, late into the evening, and we came in today and did a matinee. I love a process like that. I've never gotten to do something like that other than going into Love Janice. We had about 4 or 5 full days of rehearsal to learn 20 songs and do the whole show. This was also a trial by fire sort of thing, and I really enjoyed it, and I was very, very nervous, and it wound up going surprisingly well, all things being considered. So
one thing I do know about you from talking to you in the past is that rehearsal, you love to get in front of an audience. You really excel in front of an audience, and sometimes long rehearsal periods can be sort of
I've had a lot of I've had major catastrophic rehearsal periods where people think I'm just going to get on stage and kill the show, like literally. And it's just that my process, and oh God, I hate sounding like this because I sound like an actor. My process is really different. I really need an audience to explain and guide my performance because they're there to, they're the other character in the show. You know where the laughs are landing. You know where the audience gets, swept away in the moment. You can't go by what's happening in the rehearsal room. You can't go by what the actors and the creatives are laughing at in the rehearsal room.
Absolutely.
Because it will never be what the audience laughs at, or what the audience cries over, or what the audience really gets, or what gets right past their heads. People in musical theater are not at all the same as the people in any state or in New Jersey who are going to come see the show. What they like in the room is not what the ticket buyer is. It's never going to be congruent.
Insiders versus
absolutely insiders
audiences.
versus people who are buying a ticket and spending the money and seeing it for the first time. Before I get in front of an audience, it's just not the same for me. And unless you know me, if it's the first time I'm working with you, or if you've not worked in a rehearsal situation with me, you probably will end up thinking I might have to fire this person. Because, no, seriously.
You've never been fired from a job.
No, I have never been fired from a job, thank God. I'm going to go back to the theater tonight, and Karen Carpenter's going to be like, look, this isn't really working out. So it might happen in an hour.
So I want to talk more about Love, Loss, and What I Wore, but first I want to talk about Love, Loss, and What You Wore.
Yes.
So first let's talk about love. Let's talk about your big love in your life.
My husband?
Your husband. I'm assuming he's your big love.
He is the greatest love of my life.
And you recently celebrated your 10th anniversary, is that correct?
We just a little over a month ago had our 10th year wedding anniversary.
Is that amazing to you?
It's amazing that it went by as quickly as it did. And when you're with the right person, and when you're truly best friends with the person that you're lucky enough to marry, it speeds by. Very lucky.
Yeah. And you met when you were in Saturday Night Fever. You were the diva of Saturday Night Fever, and Andy came into the chorus, I believe, and he was an understudy.
Actually, he took over for the Faces. Remember the gang of Tony's friends?
Okay.
They were called the Faces.
And you were the big diva of the show, and you said, that one, bring him to me.
You keep saying that. Yes, I said have him bathed and perfumed and bring him to my tent. No, I'd never met him before, and he came into the show, and I know it sounds like a total BS line, but it was love at first sight. I thought I got hit by a Mack truck. I was like, oh my God, who is this guy?
What was your biggest loss? The biggest loss of your life?
We could be here all day. Where do you want me to?
Really?
What year of my life would you like me to start with?
Wow.
Yeah, a lot.
So you've had a lot of pain?
I've had a lot of pain. I'd say one of the first great losses was certainly the absolute unraveling of my recording career,
Right.
which was all I ever wanted to do. I had no aspirations to, oh, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to wind up, being a movie star, and then I'm going to design handbags, and then I'm going to, okay, but to be fair, I would love to design handbags and make perfume, but, it was not about that. It was just about, I make music, I write songs, I'm a singer, I want to make records for the rest of my life. So when that came to an unexpected grinding halt, it took me years to recover. I'm still recovering from that. So that was the first great loss, Certainly my stepfather dying while I was in high school at the age of 37, that was rough. Because once I got past 37, I was like, he died at 37. Right. It finally dawned on me as an adult why everyone was so aghast at the funeral.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when you're a kid, when you're 13 years old, you're like, okay, all the adults are acting so strangely and you're trying to keep it together. Once I got older, I was like, he died at 37. That is horrific. Now I knew why everyone was it was such a tragedy, because you're not supposed to die at 37, of pancreatic cancer. You know what I mean? So
do you think all of that loss, people kind of think of you as a real tough bitch, I think. And I don't know if that's really true, knowing you a little bit. Do you think that made you sort of a tough girl?
I think that I have had to develop a very hard outer shell. But anything that has a hard outer shell has a big gooey marshmallow center. So, if I'm being honest, I am very, very sensitive. I'm very, very soft on the inside. But, listen, I also had to learn how to protect myself in every environment I've ever been in, whether it was going to public school and having to wear my chains inside my mouth every day that I walked out of school before I got to the subway.
What do you mean by that?
Like if you were wearing gold,
oh,
there was a group
so you didn't get mugged.
You didn't want to get mugged, so you literally took all your, crappy jewelry off,
the street tips.
and you would put it under your tongue, and you'd be like, hey, what's it, and get to the subway, and then you'd put your stuff back on so you could look good on the subway. So you have to develop a hard shell so you don't get your ass beat every day. Seriously,
yeah.
I've had to develop a very thick skin, and then I was thrust into a very male-dominated adult business at a very young age. The music industry is a tough place to be, and I didn't have my mother be my manager or my father be my agent or anything like that. I was fending for myself, and my partner was just as young and as green as I was, so you have to learn trial by fire. I kind of just, so you can't, I haven't had the opportunity in my life to allow myself a great deal of vulnerability. So, but that doesn't mean what's going on the inside is the same, you know, so.
So let's talk about what you wore. What did you wear when you made your first music video?
My first music video, I wore a lot of...
'Cause I've seen photos and it's pretty amazing.
It was that whole, I call it the Star Spangled Banner outfit. The bell bottoms that were slit up to here on the outside were custom made for me by my stylist at the time. And and the bustier with the daisies on it.
What did you wear to the Tony Awards when you were a Tony nominee?
That was a good dress. That was an Angelo Lambrou original. He built that on my body for the Tonys. And I just thought it was such a beautiful dress.
What did you wear to bed last night?
I always wear ugly, hideous sweatpants and a wife beater.
Really?
Yeah, always.
That's the look?
That's the look, unless it's hot, and then we'll discuss that some other time.
So now Love, Lost, and What I Wore is obviously based on this book.
Yes.
And the Efrain Sisters collaborated on the stage production, and Daryl Roth is producing it.
Yes.
What do you love about it? I know you saw the show, you said, and you liked it. What do you like about it?
I love it because, first of all, they're all true stories. These are letters that women had written in with very, very little bit of, alterations on any level. But I think that what attracted me to it is that while you're having a really good time and laughing and just, I mean, like clutching your sides laughing, some of it is, you know, you suddenly realize you've been really moved and there was a really poignant message in all of the monologues. But it doesn't beat you over the head. It kind of sneaks up on you, and once it's over, you go, you kind of clutch your pearls and go, oh, wait a minute. Wow, that was amazing. And I think that the subtlety of it is what really fascinated me. And you know, they always get 5 brilliant, amazing women to do this amazing work, and now I know they have had a day of rehearsal. So it's really wonderful.
So do you like working with that many women, that many
I
chicks
do actually,
in a room?
I do actually
Yeah.
like the chick thing. I do. I enjoy working with women because they operate from a whole different place. You know, listen, it's early, but we're only there for 5 weeks.
So
Not
far,
a
so
chance
good.
to, you know, kind of
Yeah.
get on anybody's nerves, I don't think.
Right.
So.
Speaking of working with women, I always thought that I have a great project for you, like a reality show project. I think you should do The Real Housewives of Broadway. Even though you're more than a housewife. That'd be fun, right? We can line them up.
Oh my God.
We'll get Andy Cohen on that one.
Okay,
Would
let's
you
call
do it?
him.
Would you do it? Would you consider it a pilot at least?
I would consider a pilot. I would consider a pilot.
You're just humoring me.
I am, but that's okay. It's a good idea, though.
I want to talk to you about a woman from your past, speaking of women and close female relationships.
Okay.
This is actually an interesting one. Not many people know about this, but you actually were a childhood, like, great friends with Chaz Bono.
Yes,
who
I
is
was.
now Chaz Bono.
Who's Chaz Bono? I
So-
still am.
Talk about this. And this is obviously Chaz Bono is a really big name in the tabloids now. You know, it's been interesting.
I mean, more so, I think it's interesting that he's actually less of a name in the tabloids now than she was when she came out as a lesbian.
You think it was easier for people to accept
Yes,
changing sex
Absolutely.
than coming out 20
Absolutely.
years ago or whatever.
absolutely, because it was 20 years ago. It was pre all the internet madness
Yeah.
that, you know, the wild, wild west, as I call it. But it's fascinating that it happened the way it happened. You know what I mean? That there isn't all the insane bashing going on, and she's not on the, you know, he's not on the cover of the Star like she was on the cover of
Right.
the Star every week.
Right,
It's like, yeah, okay, big deal. She's lesbian. Who cares? Let's move on.
right.
You know,
So what's that friendship like?
it's great.
What do you love about Chaz?
What do I love about Chaz? Just a good-hearted, gentle soul. I think that what's great about what's happened to him is that I really feel that he's finally happy. And you have to remember, I've known Chaz for 20 some odd years. We grew up together.
How
I
old were
grew
you
up
when you met?
13.
Right, you were young.
Yeah,
Went
really.
to high school together.
We went to high school together. Her brother Elijah is a dear friend of mine. We text each other all day, you know. And I grew up in that house with those kids. You know, that's my brother and sister,
with
and now
Cher.
my brother and brother. Yeah, and with Cher,
You spent a lot of time with Cher when you were
a
young.
lot of time. Probably.
So what's it like for an impressionable teenage girl to spend a lot of time with Cher? What does that do to you?
You know, it affects you indelibly for life. You know, everything I know about the entertainment business, everything I know about being an entertainer, and everything I know about dealing with your fans, if I may say, I learned from her. I learned at her knee. You know, I learned about business from her. I learned about graciousness from her. I learned about gratitude. I just, everything I know about that world, this world, I learned from her. And
Was it fun? Did you guys have adventures? And was it fun?
we had a lot of fun, you know. I was the daughter that did like to go out and shop for makeup.
You
You
were
know
s-
what I mean? I was the clothes horse and the makeup junkie and the perfume junkie, and she had a perfect foil in me. You know what I mean? It was like she could just do all that stuff with me, and Chaz was happy to be like, go. I don't want to do it. So it was a lot of fun. The first movie set I was ever on was Moonstruck.
Wow.
You know, which led to a very long relationship with John Patrick Shanley. And I know I'm just dropping names left and right, but he started it. It's not me. I never talk about this. Nobody
You
even
don't
knows.
ever talk about Cher.
I never talk about Cher.
Which I find really interesting. Is it just because you want to be your own person? You don't. I mean.
No, it's because it's sacred to me, and it's precious to me. And it's not something that I did. You know, when I was 13 years old, it didn't mean to me what it would mean to an older person
Right.
that I was hanging out with Cher.
Right,
You know,
right.
she wasn't Cher to me. She
Right.
was Ma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and she resembles my mother a great deal. So, you know, it was kind of normal in an abnormal way because there was the mansion and the fancy cars and the fancy lifestyle, but she was just cool, you know?
It's funny also that you both have these one name.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure people think it's because of her, but no, it's really because in grade school, the teachers, when they would do roll call, would never use my last name because my original last name is long and crazy and even more confusing. It's
Okay.
Almirad. Was the last name I was born with, and it just looked like hieroglyphics when you saw it on paper. And so along, probably in the first grade, they were like, Orfeh, here. And that was like, that was it. And then when I got a record deal, I had to join the union.
Well, and it was natural in the music world.
In the
Obviously,
music
we
world,
have plenty of one name.
nobody cares. Nobody even batted an eye. Nobody blinked. Nobody thought twice of it. But when I had to join the union, you have to join AFTRA if you make a record.
Okay.
They signed me up as Orfeh. That's how it happened. And then I legally went and did it for real. And that was the end of the story.
Do you think in the Broadway world it's held you back? Do you think people sort of
I think
don't get it? Or
they get so angry about it. They get so. I had a joke with Laura Bell Bundy when we got Tony nominated. I called her. I said, "See, now no one can be mad at me anymore. I have 4 names now: Tony Award nominee, Orfeh." You happy? Everybody happy now? But yes, it has absolutely, absolutely made a conclusion about me before I walk into the room.
Right.
Like, oh, who does she think she is? She's got
Right.
one name. She's not famous. She's not Cher. She's not Madonna. It's like, no, but my name's Orfeh, and if you can find me 10 more, I'll go and I'll buy a new last name.
I have to admit, when I first back in the show, Fascinating Rhythm, when I first saw you, I remember looking at the playbill and going, "Who the hell does she think she is?"
Everybody does. Everybody
But
does.
then I got to know you, and
you
your
you
talent,
had that moment.
Your talent makes up for anything.
Thank you. That's
You know,
very
I'm a big
nice
fan
to
of
hear.
yours.
Thank you. That's very nice.
So we're running out of time, but thank you so much for coming. And,
Thank you for having me.
I wish you a successful run. And do you want to do more plays in the future?
I would absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that for the next few months after Love Lost, which I'm so grateful to be in, I think I'm going to concentrate on maybe going out of town and doing a play or 2 here and there just to
Great.
just get my chops going.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing
Thank
you.
you.
and
I love your
everything.
show. I'm so happy to be on it and running in the company that the people you've had on the show. It's just amazing to be even in the same sentence as them. So
Of course.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.